Are you not watching where you're going?
It's a self-driving car. It's not my fault.
Are you kidding me?
It's a self-driving car. It's not my fault. It's not my fault.
Are you serious? Hey guys, Rich Ferguson here, and today I'm in my self-driving car and we're going to do something crazy. But I got a question for you. If I was to hit somebody in my self-driving car, whose fault would it be? Me as the driver, the pedestrian for getting in my way, the car manufacturer, or the self-driving car software? Well, today we're actually going to hit some people. Let's go hit some people. Whoa, 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 whoa! Whoa, dude, stop! Stop, dude!
Oh, sorry. It's a self-driving car. It's not my fault.
Okay.
What the hell?
It's time for Fully Threaded Radio.
It is Fully Threaded Radio, voice of the FCH sourcing network. Yes, it's another online, on-demand, predominantly fastener-related episode of the podcast that virtually drives itself. Or does it? We'll find out soon. Thanks for clicking in, everyone. Eric Dudas here. Joining me, as always, with no artificial intelligence required, it's Brian Musker. Hey, Bri, you doing all right?
Yeah, some would say not much intelligence. Time's going to do something stupid, I think, that very thing.
There's something to be said about 100% organic stupidity, though, you know. I think we're going to come to have a lot of nostalgia over these days in the not-too-distant future. What do you think?
Maybe. I'm not sure about how self-driving this is either, okay? Might be easier if it were.
That's actually true. Although I think our listeners prefer the handcrafted variety of online fastener talk radio. And if that's you, ladies and gentlemen, then you hit the right podcast, and we're so glad you joined us. This is Fully Threaded Radio, episode 122. This time we're publishing on November 20th, 2017. The self-driving artificial intelligence theme that we've, I think, successfully established already, Bri, will become obvious when you hear our conversation today with our first guest. He's Matt Boyd of Parker Fasteners. Parker was out there at the recent Vegas Fastener Show demonstrating their 3D capabilities. We'll talk with Matt all about that, see what the reactions were. The feature segment on today's podcast is a conversation with industry rock star Simmi. She's the big boss over there at Stelfast, most of you know. We haven't talked with Simmi on the podcast in a long while, so it was good to have her on board. Mike McNulty's got the Fastener News Report. As always, joining him this time, it's Quinn Fredrickson, the Baird analyst currently working on the Fastener Distributor Index. Plus, Carmen Vertullo's got the Fastener Training Minute for us. He's kicking off a series on torque wrenches.
So is it the Fastener Training Minute or the Fastener Training 10 minutes?
You're right. Last episode, he really gave more of a lecture, didn't he? This one's a little tighter, I think, because he's broken it down. I had a talk with him, and he broke it down into sections. So we're going to hear, I think, at least 2 or 3 sections on torque wrenches over the coming episodes, Bri.
Okay, that's good. Well, anyone who's ever been young and had to work on their own cars will have struck a torque wrench occasionally.
Are you going to be able to work on your own self-driving car with a torque wrench, you figure, Bri?
I don't think anyone can work on any of the modern cars. I gave up that stuff years ago. I used to do it. It's too complicated. There's too much electrics now.
Yeah, I know. To be a gearhead anymore, you've really got to get an older car, and the times have changed. Well, times may be changing, but fortunately, we've still got a great lineup of sponsors. Bri, why don't you let the audience know who those fine companies are?
Okay. The title sponsors of Fully Threaded Radio are Stelfast and the Lindstrom family of companies, including Titan Fasteners. Stelfast, for service you deserve and people you trust. And the Lindstrom family of companies, Lindstrom, by any measure. Also sponsoring Fully Threaded Radio are 3Q, USA-made fasteners, Buckeye Fasteners, InSequel Software, The Worth Group, ND Industries, Mack Brooks Fastener Fair USA, Fastenal, Volt Industrial Plastics, and Solution Industries, home of Solution Man. So I'd like to thank all of our great sponsors. They sort of make all the effort that Eric mainly puts into this, but there's a lot of planning and stuff goes into this, and it's time that you simply don't have to do your ordinary work. So sponsors help that happen, okay? So make sure you get hold of our sponsors if you need something. They provide plenty of great fasteners, okay?
Good advice, Bri. Please do let them know you listen to the podcast and you appreciate it. They do bring you fully threaded in every sense of the word. They make a lot of appearances. Although I got to tell you this, there are a few of them that are a little shy.
Yeah.
In appearing on the podcast, I mean.
Well, there are people. That's right. It takes all kinds, okay?
Reach out to us anytime, folks. We're always interested in your thoughts, ideas, questions, and so forth. The email address is ftr@fullythreaded.com. You can also catch us out there on Twitter, where the handle is Fully Threaded. Most of you know that over the years we have supported the Semper Fi Fund. It's our favorite charity. We've promoted them on the podcast and on our FCH website. And we recommend that if you're looking for a place to share your good fortune this holiday season, Christmas is coming up, folks. That's what we celebrate around here at the FCH Sourcing Network and the Fully Threaded podcast. You might celebrate something different, but hopefully you find time in the year to share your good fortune and, notch the generosity up just a couple of places. The Semper Fi Fund's a great place to take a look. And right now, the Bob and Renee Parsons Foundation through December 31st is matching dollar for dollar all the way up to, get this, Bri, $10 million.
Yep.
So it's an even better time of year to think about the Semper Fi Fund. They donate very efficiently to the wounded warriors in all the branches of our military and really provide a lot of great and necessary services. Take a look at their website at semperfifund.org.
Right. I mean, it's a time of the year to sort of think a little bit about those who are not quite as lucky as we are, walking around with all our arms and legs, and donating to one of these charities is a great way of just recognizing the good luck that we do have.
By the way, the $10 million, the way that works is they're going to match the $10 million, so the total gift by December 31st could reach $20 million. Very generous of them. Bob Parsons, by the way, Bri, of the Bob and Renee Parsons Foundation, he's the founder, one of them, of GoDaddy. A lot of people know the very popular web platform, and I would say that our business is just a little bit like that in some ways, being a web-based business, but
yeah, he was a web hosting business, I think, wasn't it, primarily? Like a simple place where you could get a website running quickly online, I think.
Right. From humble beginnings. I would like to be in the position that they're in right now.
Yeah, so would I.
But for now, we're where we are, and I'm pretty darn happy to be there, too. We'll be back in just a minute to put a wrench to this one. Thanks for listening in. It's Fully Threaded Radio.
It's the self-driving version.
Online Fastener Talk Radio. Hey, at least it kills time on long road trips. Fully Threaded Radio.
When top quality and outstanding service are at the top of your list in fastener suppliers, turn to Stelfast. Since 1976, Stelfast has grown to become an industry-leading importer and manufacturer of the highest quality industrial fasteners, specialty items, and automotive parts. Our array of facilities across North America and in Asia, along with full quality control labs and ISO 9001-2008 certifications, ensure the highest quality parts, and at Stelfast, they're delivered with undisputed service excellence. We're family-run and dedicated to your success. Our customers have come to depend on the expertise of our staff and the quality of our products. We also offer a wide range of secondary services to meet some of the toughest requirements you might have. Contact Stelfast today through our website at www.stelfast.com and put us to work for you. Stelfast. Service you deserve, people you trust.
What makes Lindstrom a leading specialty fastener master distributor? For years, you've known Lindstrom as the premier name in metric fasteners, with an expanded product line that now includes the largest assortment of fasteners and components of any master distributor. Today, Lindstrom means much more than metric. At Lindstrom, we're focused on a single goal: to bring our distributors the perfect combination of convenience, flexibility, value, and choice, delivered by the most experienced sales team in the industry. For inch or metric fasteners, standard or special, in any finish, all packed to your requirements, turn to Lindstrom, where we have what you need and deliver it the way you want. To learn more about Lindstrom and our expanded brand of value-added products and services, visit LindstromFastener.com or call a sales representative at 1-800-572-5550. Lindstrom, by any measure.
Are you tired of empty promises from software vendors? Are you paying for support that you're not receiving? Is it time for another paid upgrade? There is a solution. InSequel delivers quality software designed for the fastener industry at an affordable price with industry-leading support. Unlike other software companies, with InSequel, you purchase your software once. There will never be a paid upgrade. If you need assistance with anything, InSequel is there to help. When you call, you will always speak with a real person offering you quick and knowledgeable answers to your questions. Can your current provider say this? Quality software, affordable pricing, industry-leading support. Only InSequel can deliver all three. So why settle? Call InSequel Software at 877-446-9775 or visit www.inxsql.com.
Hey there, this is George McFly with Inventory Sales Company, and you are listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Hey, Bri, got a note here from our old buddy Javier Gomez down there in storm-ravaged Puerto Rico.
Right. I've thought of him, and people have asked me about him, actually.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. Yeah, when we were at the Vegas show, a couple of people came up to the booth and asked, hey, what do you hear from Javier? We mentioned to you after the hurricane went through, we've been communicating with him via Twitter, and we didn't hear anything for a little while. Fortunately, got this note. He said, thankfully, all of our employees were safe. The first 2 to 3 weeks were brutal, but things are slowly getting back to normal. Still without power in half of our stores, but extremely busy with all the reconstruction business going around. We are blessed and thankful for all of the support coming from the mainland. Thanks for keeping us updated, Javier. And
yeah,
that could not have been easy, and it still is probably very challenging.
Yeah, well, I hear that Google's got its balloons up that are providing cell phone coverage, I think, to some of Puerto Rico. I don't know how successful that is, but they've done a special deal with AT&T to open up special frequencies to try and provide, because most of the lines are down, so they have to have, wireless-bound signals.
That's interesting. I did wonder about that. I wondered if we hadn't heard from him simply because he couldn't get cell service or any kind of connection, but he's getting through one way or another. Hey everyone, we'll be speaking with Matt Boyd of Parker Fasteners about Parker's 3D exhibit they had out there in Vegas. Just ahead of that, Bri, I saw a headline out there on Industrial Distribution Magazine's website. Made me think about today's theme a little bit. The title of the story, actually it's a blog. It's by a gentleman of the name of Michel Safi. He's a VP with Zilliant, which is a artificial intelligence software vendor. But the title of it is Heads Up Industrial Distributors. The frontal assault from Amazon Business is here.
Right, this is what everyone doesn't want to hear, I would say. I mean, Amazon has certainly the big ones have all been putting a lot of money and development into artificial intelligence. A lot as it relates to understanding people's talking, okay? I mean, because they're all trying to understand what people are saying and if anyone's got one of these Amazon devices, Alexa, which you can sort of talk into and say, hey, add this to my shopping list, or what's the weather, or who's winning in the game between whatever it is. Amazon, to my mind, is clearly way ahead. I mean, anyone who's tried to talk into their phone with Siri and given up in disgust when, a simple question's turned into something that sounds so stupid you're embarrassed to be, have started it off. But Amazon's way ahead in this, and I'm sure Google is too. They've got a huge department working on this.
I know you're an Alexa user. I haven't used Alexa yet. I do use my Apple iPhone, though, and I'm frequently frustrated and amazed at how poor the voice recognition is.
Oh, it is. You're right. It is true. It's poor. And you think Apple, with all its money, has chosen not to put money into developing this. I mean, with $100 billion, you can do anything, okay? But Apple hasn't managed to get Siri running. They're just not putting money into it. It's awful.
Well, I don't take the technology for granted. I mean, it does do a whole lot, and it does a lot well. It's just that there are certain things you would imagine that it would do a whole lot better. Anyway, that's kind of off at a tangent to what I was really thinking about with the point of this story, or bringing it up.
Well, the fact is voice recognition has really come a long way, but it's still got a hell of a long way to go.
Yeah, yeah.
So what did this blog say?
Right. So it starts off by pointing out that Grainger and Fastenal have taken some slumps. It's not really explained very well. He's trying to make a point, but he's saying that it's happened in response to the announcements of Amazon's Prime Business Shipping, which is being announced, and apparently it's having rumblings all across the industrial distribution space, if you believe this blog. Anyway, the takeaway from the whole thing is that expanding AI capability is a key competitive advantage that distributors are supposed to be paying attention to if they want to compete with Amazon. So,
right. See, I would have thought that not ever having to make any money would also be something you'd have to do to compete with Amazon.
Well, you're not supposed to point that out, right?
No, I mean, it's easy if every time you need to make up $1 billion of loss, you sell some shares, okay?
Well, however they manage their business, Bri, they are part of the new normal, the new reality, and my thought on that whole thing is just that if we're just now in the fastener industry, at least in the distribution market that we talk to, getting around to showing these kind of entry-level 3D processes, I don't know what the chances are of competing with Amazon and AI are going to be. But I just figured I'd point it out because this is what you hear out there. I mean, I think we're all aware that out there in the headlines these days, we've got nonstop headlines about AI, about robotics, AI-enhanced robotics, about what's going on with Amazon, on and on and on. I mean, I'm sure you've been reading about the robot Sophia that was given citizenship in Saudi Arabia, of all places. I mean, it just never ends.
Maybe she'll be allowed to drive a car too now.
Well, that's another issue, but I think you're right. I mean, the human rights issues there are kind of obvious. A lot of people were talking about that, but maybe what it is that to compete, fastener distributors are going to have to start hiring AI-enabled robots, to do all the jobs that the people are doing. I don't know. We're getting a little bit off. Usually we save this for the end of the podcast, Bri.
Yeah, I know. We've sort of gone off in a bit of a tangent here, but I mean, it's everywhere, relating even in simple things like, Elon Musk talking about the latest version of his software for self-driving cars. I mean, all of that is involved in the same thing, artificial intelligence. How do you know when a car is actually veering off the path it's on? And it's hard.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that's not hard, Bri, and that is if you operate in the industrial fastener industry, you should be part of the FCH sourcing network. It's found at www.fastenersclearinghouse.com. That's fasteners with the S. The S, of course, today is for self-driving.
Right, and if you do miss the S out, you're right. If you miss the S out, you're going to be somewhere totally different, okay? Not us. So make sure you stick the S in there.
FastenersClearinghouse.com. It's a large online resource. Anytime you need to find a hard-to-locate part, or if your parts are on the water and you need them tomorrow, somebody probably has them out there in the network. There's about 1.5 million line items available to you. It's free to use, kind of like Google for the fastener industry. We frequently call it Scroogle.
Right.
One of the new things that we're just now releasing, people have been asking us for this for a long time, we're calling it FCH Closeouts. It's a targeted classified ad program where each time you use the network to search for a given part, let's say it's a lock nut. Anyone who's got some blowout deals available for that type of commodity, a lock nut in this example, they'll come right up on the page. Who knows? Maybe it's a chance for you to get a really great deal.
Yeah, I mean, look, we haven't really had a great answer for people who didn't want to list 1,000 or 10,000 items, but they had one single thing that they needed to get rid of, they were left with. And we were not really a good answer for those people. And we've always had people saying, well, I've just got these set of rivets I need to get rid of. I've got too many of them. But this is really our way of dealing with that. And we tried in the past with a thing called hot sheets, sort of the same aim, but require a little bit of maintenance and a little bit of user interface that was missing. But this is a newer way that we can target it directly at a particular type of fastener.
I don't think Hot Sheets was missing anything from a UI perspective, Bri. I think the problem with Hot Sheets, it was a lot like Craigslist really in its user interface, but it was just that the people who had stuff weren't getting matched up with people who needed stuff. It's one of these time-critical things, and I think that's why the targeted, classified nature of what we're doing now makes a lot more sense. We ran Hot Sheets for how long? About 2 years, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we gave it a really good try, and it was free to use, and we really tried to get it going, and it just didn't work. So we think this is another attempt, and we think it's a little smarter and it's a little more googly. I wouldn't say it's AI, but it's more intelligent. So get out to FCH, and in the near future, folks, when you do searches on the network, you're going to see some classifieds for FCH closeouts. Let us know what you think of this system, and if you have a few dusties sitting on the shelf, let us know. Let us get them online for you.
Yeah, if you think we need some help in improving it, we're happy to receive any suggestions. I mean, aim is to make it work, okay?
Turn your slow movers into cash. It's FCH. I like that, too. The S is for self-driving. We haven't had a really good one of those for some time.
Okay. Yeah.
Matt Boyd of Parker Fasteners talked with us recently. We've got that recording now. What do you think?
Yeah, we should listen to it.
Well, Bright, during our roundup of the International Fastener Expo, there was one thing that we didn't talk about, and that's something we cover quite a bit, or we used to, on this podcast, and that is 3D printing.
Additive manufacturing.
Additive manufacturing, yes, otherwise known as. And finally, we had a fastener manufacturer appear on the show floor with some 3D equipment, additive manufacturing equipment, and here to talk with us about that, it's Matt Boyd. He's with Parker Fasteners. They're out of Goodyear, Arizona. Matt, thanks for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you guys for having me.
All right. You can teach us all about 3D printing, where it is right now.
Yeah, 100%. We're going to be very interested to hear about that. But just to summarize, what were some of the reactions of people that walked by your booth and saw what you were doing?
It was a great attention getter for the show. It really drew a lot of different people, and it allowed us to, meet folks that we typically don't see. This was our fifth year of attending the Vegas Fastener Show. And even though the setting was different, we really had some nice interactions. We had some great discussion. And it was nice to be able to show everyone, the current advances of 3D printing. And, we were able to explain to our customers, how we're using it in our business today and, where we believe that it's going to go in the future.
So, Matt, given the fact that I actually couldn't get to a booth, though I wanted to, tell us what you were showing there, okay?
Yeah, you got it. So we actually had two separate booths. We had the traditional sales booth that was near the concession stand where we had our sales folks at, and then at the demo zone part of the show, we had our 3D printer along with a couple other of companies that were kind of joined with us in that area. And our 3D printer it's fairly small. It's about the size of what you'd kind of see one of the fancy large desktop computers. So it's not, very large. But what we've, why we chose that specific printer and the reason why we brought it was, for the purpose of doing first article samples for our customers, and then also being able to travel with it and take it to the trade shows and display, our technology with the masses. So we had the demo booth set up where we were constantly printing, parts that we've printed prior for customers. We were even showing off a little bit, just taking a typical, 3D drawing from a site like McMaster-Carr, dumping it into our, to our computer that was running the printer, and we could print, parts right there on the spot.
Oh, okay.
Well, congratulations to Parker for doing something really impressive, and I guess you're setting a trend, really. I mean, unlike us, we had to resort to cheap tricks like using dog biscuits to lure people over to our booth. Before we go on with explaining your 3D presence over there, tell us a little bit about Parker.
Sure. Yeah, we're a domestic manufacturer. The youngest that I'm personally aware of in the United States. We're just over 5 years old. And, our motto that we use here at Parker is Forging the Future. And we use that motto because, we have a mixture of existing talent. We have over 200 years of combined experience manufacturing screws. But we're also, introducing youth. And, we have a lot of youth in our company as well. So 65% of our company are millennials. And we did that on purpose because,
really?
We're focused on, driving our business, growing in a controlled manner. And really, we want to be around for a long time. And that's kind of what goes in conjunction with our efforts with 3D printing. We really want to be seen as being on the cutting edge of our industry. So, we're constantly looking at methods and different techniques of, improving our business, both in manufacturing and our service level to our customers. And, right now, guys, we're focusing on, socket drive screws. That's really, kind of where our niche is, from alloy, stainless, A286, and some of the exotic materials like Monels and other brass and silicon bronze and so forth. So we've really built a nice business. We've grown steadily. We're up to about 46 employees today. I was the 17th employee about 4 years ago.
Wow, well, that's pretty impressive, actually.
Thank you.
If you'd like to get more information about Parker Fasteners, you can get to their website, which is www.parkerfasteners.com. That's fasteners with an S. The S is for super cool, which is what they were showing at the Fasteners show. I had an opportunity to talk with Robert Parker. Of course, he's one of the visionaries over there, or maybe the visionary. You can let me know. But he showed me around the, I guess it was the booth at the demo, in the demo area. And that was really a great thing to see because you had some materials that were actually being printed while we stood there, and then you had a whole array of things that had been done previously. What materials were you showing there at the show?
Yeah, so we were using, I'm not sure if you remember seeing the red material, that is ABS plastic. And that's a very dense, very, workable plastic. And, I must tell you, there's a lot of different options out there. We can also, we were also making parts at the show with a stainless steel impregnated plastic as well. So it gives you the feel and the weight of an actual, stainless or metal part. But it's still a, an injection, it's a plastic part, but it has, stainless steel impregnation in it. So, there's a lot of different things out today, much larger machines that, would cost a lot of money to get to a trade show, to show it off. But my understanding today is that there are machines out there that are 3D printing metals, and they're just a lot more expensive and not really something that you want to, travel across America, giving customers a glimpse at a trade show.
No, these machines weigh like 3 tons.
That's correct.
Or more. Yeah. So tell me then, what is the benefit of printing out of this stainless steel impregnated plastic? What does it do for you other than just plastic, printing out of plastic, simple plastic?
It really serves the fit and the form, just not the function part of, offering samples to customers. So it's, being a cold heading manufacturer, it's really kind of difficult to make 10 parts or 5 parts or a part to, let a customer test it to make sure it's going to, fit, form, and function properly that they've engineered it to. So 3D printing has allowed us to offer a low-cost sampling where the parts are going to be, within the typical fastener tolerances that are expected, through the ASME or IFI standards. Yep. So it gives us a lot of flexibility because, if a customer doesn't like the outcome, the threads are fully functional. They will fit right into whatever the part's designed to go into. We can make them 2A or 3A type threads. Yep. It will allow the customers to kind of test the parts without paying literally thousands of dollars for a handful of parts.
I think you just answered the question that I was going to throw at you, which is what are you using this for? And it sounds like you're doing prototyping. So what kind of an advantage does this give to Parker today, currently, and where do you see this taking your business?
Well, speed has always been something that we've, used to our advantage, and it continues that, speed in the market. So we're able to give solutions, yes, they may not be a fully functional sample, but we can give, a sample to a customer, before anyone else can. And we feel that that's a real advantage. And then, more than likely it's going to be the, lowest cost option for samples as well. So, we have an engineering department that can draw prints, and we can do that fairly quickly. We've been working on the project just recently for, through distribution, but for a major OEM here in the United States, and we've been able to draw prints and make samples literally in 2 business days. Where they expected this to take months to get everything down, and we're able to to act very swiftly. So our customers really enjoy that and they appreciate that, and we really feel like that's our technical advantage, is being able to 3D print, offer samples quickly, draw prints quickly, and really just take care of our customers in a in an expedited type of a manner. Now, when you get busier and orders start to come in, you can't always control your lead times like you would like. So, this is just one way that we can offer, speed to the customer on new product. And just kind of depending on, when it goes in production, our lead times, can vary anywhere from, 5 to 6 weeks, all the way up to, 14 to 16 weeks, depending on, what's all involved. But speed is definitely something that we've used to our advantage thus far.
Right. Well, it's still the fastener business. Mm-hmm. I didn't mention it before, but Fully Threaded Radio listeners are very well acquainted with Carmen Vertullo. He, of course, of Fastener Training Minute fame, the Carver Fax Center, and so forth. He's doing some work for Parker. He's consulting with you and helping you out, and we had some fun with that because Carmen and Brian and I have an ongoing good-natured disagreement related to 3D printing. What's Carmen doing for you guys?
Well, it's really funny. I didn't know your history until I started listening to the podcast, I'd say about 3 or 4 months ago. But, I must say when we called Carmen and say, hey, listen, we've got into the 3D printing business and we'd like to have your help, improving what we're doing and making it faster and more efficient. He grabbed onto it right away. He was very, very pleased that, one of his, customers had gotten into the 3D printing market, and he couldn't wait to get his hands all over it. So he actually went out to the Fastener Tech Show in Chicago with us this past summer, and was one of the first guys to, put his hands on the equipment and really see what it could do and what it couldn't do. And, our engineering department had done a wonderful job figuring out how to print threads. It sounds easy, but it was actually quite the challenge. We had figured that out, and Carmen came and instantly, brought a lot more attention to our booth and to what we're, trying to accomplish. And he's actually helped us make some alterations to the equipment to improve the efficiency and how productive it is.
Okay.
I would have expected nothing less. Well, we're going to be keeping our eyes on Parker Fasteners to hear what's going on, and I'm sure that there's going to be some big news coming out as time goes on. Of course, we're still, Brian and I at least, are on the edge of our seats to see when some of the first production specials in the fastener industry are out there, or at least discussed. We've reported on several pretty major headlines by some big industrial players over the years on this podcast as things have emerged, but we're still waiting for a big one to break in our our listening audience, shall we say. Hey, why don't you give us a little bit more insight into Parker Fasteners in general, Matt? What do you have going on these days that you'd like to share with the audience?
Well, thank you, Eric. We've some of our past successes is becoming ASI 100 a few years ago. Exactly almost a year ago now, QSLM approved, or QS through the DLA. So that was a major achievement for our company. And this past year, we've also created a new stocking program of domestic stainless steel stocks. Now that's 18.8. We make those parts in 302 HQ stainless. But we've continued to add to that repertoire of inventory, and we're ready to partner with the FCH to publish that inventory on their site. They give a lot more visibility to some of the folks that may not be aware of us or may just need a few to get them through until the next customer need comes about. So we're very excited. This is all made in USA product. The source of material is also United States sourced as well. We put a USA and our Parker P on the head of the cap screw. So, it's easy identifiable as something that was made in the United States. And we're very excited. We've had a lot of success, a lot of growth this year from this program. And we're just starting to catch up, and we're excited to expand it to a wider customer base as well. So that's an exciting announcement that we have now. I also want to, let the listeners know that we also have some other projects that we can't disclose at this time, but we have some new products that are going to be coming out over the next 6 to 12 months that we'd like to have an opportunity, Brian and Eric, to come back and share with the listening audience what we have up our sleeve right now.
Nicely done, Matt. Cliffhangers always work in this podcast business.
Yes, just make sure. I mean, we do have the ability for people to search for domestic specifically, okay? Mm-hmm. And that gets used frequently. And in order to be able to found, it's got to have some reference to USA or domestic in the description, and then it will be found. So we'll be giving you the hints as to how to do that. Okay.
It's beautiful. That'd be great. And last note I don't want to leave out as well. We've had this patent now for almost 3 years, but we do have a patented tamper-resistant drive product called the Lockout, and that's a licensed name. And we've done really, really well with it. It's been something that, for a smaller startup company, getting our feet wet in an industry, we really haven't had the major marketing dollars to go out and promote it, industry-wide. But it's a elliptical oval center pin and elliptical design that allows us to make small alterations to it to give our customers the opportunity, if they want it, to have their own unique tamper-resistant drive. And I'll say this, every single customer that has purchased it has repeat purchased it since the first buy, and I think that says a lot about the product, and we're having a lot of success from that. So I also wanted to mention that, if you guys don't mind.
Well, you just did, and good for you.
Yeah.
Sounds like you guys are making some waves out in the fastener industry 5 years in, and you're getting where you need to be, working with the right people, that's for sure. And we will gladly welcome you aboard onto the FCH Sourcing Network, too. Thank you for having some confidence in us. We've been speaking with Matt Boyd. He's with ParkerFasteners.com. That's ParkerFasteners.com online. Sounds like we're going to be hearing more from you, Matt, and we sure do appreciate you joining us here on the podcast today.
Well, thank you very much, guys. I'm very happy, and hopefully we can make this a multiple and a future appearance for our company and for the future events that we have planned.
Cool.
Thanks for bringing some 3D to the Fastener Show this year. That was kind of Brian's dream. Check another one off, Bri.
Right, I know. That's right.
Forging the future, guys.
It's fully threaded.
Mm-hmm.
Talk radio for the fastener industry. It's not really all that bad for the most part. Brian and Eric, fully threaded radio.
ND Industries has been solving customers' toughest problems through innovative technologies, competitive pricing, and industry-leading service since 1955. A family-owned business, ND Industries manufactures and applies fastener locking, bonding, sealing, masking, and assembling products. Their pre-application process makes fasteners ready to use at the point of assembly, resulting in reduced labor costs, time savings, and superior quality assurance. As a fully integrated company, ND handles all aspects of operations from formulating custom chemical compounds and coating fasteners to providing inline inspection, packaging, and delivery services. ND Industries serves the global market with 13 divisions in the continental U.S. and also facilities in Taiwan, China, and Turkey. Learn more about ND Industries at our website at www.ndindustries.com. ND Industries, innovative technologies, competitive pricing, and industry-leading service. Contact ND today.
For a selection of hundreds of thousands of fasteners, check out your local Fastenal store or Fastenal.com. We can stock domestic or internationally sourced product locally and keep your bin stock filled for you at no additional expense. We are a 9001-2008 certified company that's made a huge investment in quality control so you don't have to. And if you can't find it on our shelf, we can make it for you at the quantity you need at one of our many manufacturing facilities. Learn more by contacting your local Fastenal store or visiting Fastenal.com today.
Fastener Distributors. 3Q Inc. is the best-kept secret for all of your fastener needs. 3Q is the premier sourcing solution for the fastener distribution market. 3Q offers stock and release programs on all special fastener products, from flat washers, lock nuts, cold form specials, to bolts and screws. Looking to add the highest quality line of self-drilling screws? Check out the pull-tight line of serrated self-drilling screws. They bite. Distributors who know of 3Q wonder how they ever operated before without the high level of service and quality support provided by 3Q and their staff. The number 3, the letter Q. 3Q Inc. Quality products, quality service, quality customers. Welcome to 3Q.
I don't have time to look for the best price for a socket head cap screw zinc plated with a patch.
Solution Man can. Let me handle all of your secondary processes, and I'll even ship the finished product. One price, one purchase order, one invoice, and one shipment equals one solution. Visit the Solution Industries website for details at solutionind.com.
Solution Man, you're my primary source for secondary processes.
Good one.
Hey, this is Clayton Allen from Buckeye Fasteners in Cleveland, Ohio, and you're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Brian and Eric back with you, fully threaded.
The self-driving party bus.
That it is.
Okay.
We mentioned at the top of the program that, well, Christmas is coming and all kinds of things you should be doing and thinking about. Around here, we're thinking about the MWFA holiday party that's happening on December 14th. And, you know, Bri, I think looking at the invitation here, karaoke may be becoming the new glow golf for the fastener industry.
Right. You're right. And that the moment the microphone comes out, I disappear into the furthest corner of the room. However, others love it, and it's been very successful at the Christmas parties last year particularly, but it's fair to say that some of the attendees at the MWFA Christmas party are actually really good singers. I mean, they've got great voices, so it's not as if it's trouble listening to.
Well, I think a lot of people in the fastener industry have pretty good pipes. Down at the Southwest Fastener Association and CFA conference earlier in the year, they were talking about the great karaoke they were going to be doing, and of course, back in June at the Fastener Tech show, there was quite a bit of that going on, and so, yeah, I think if you're into that sort of thing, well, even if you're not, get out to the MWFA website for details on this. Again, that holiday party's happening December 14th. It'll be a good time whether you get up there on stage or not.
It's also a chance to do some more Christmas giving because there's always a collection for the Toys for Tots run by the Marines. So if you go there, take some toys and do your Christmas thing, okay?
MWFA recently had their elections for the coming year's board and officers and so forth. They always make those announcements at the holiday party, so we won't be spoilers, Bri, but I do know that the new board members for 2018 are Brian Wheeler with Star and George Hunt of BBI.
Oh, cool. Good. Okay.
A little bit of new blood on the board.
It is true. Yeah, I had a long talk to George actually at the Fastener Tech, and it was really about things that the association should be doing. So now he's in a position to do exactly what he was talking about. That's good. He actually had some really, really good ideas. I was never really talked to George much before, but I was very impressed with him.
He's going to join us on the podcast in the near future. I talked to him out in Vegas, and he wanted to jump in. He's got a few ideas. I tell you, he had a lot of ideas when he was here. He's from Cleveland, and he had a long time involvement with the NCFA. Now, of course, he's out based in Chicago, running BBI's Chicago facility, and now he's on the MWFA board.
Good. Well, okay, so this is Chicago. What's going on with NCFA's holiday party?
Oh, we've got a really cool event coming up. The reason that I didn't lead off with it, because, I am pretty involved with NCFA, is I think we kind of have a sold-out event. It's a little bit different this year. Jackie, kind of a big deal, Ventura, got this one off the ground for the board. She found this really cool bus that cruises around the Cleveland area looking at Christmas lights, and some of the neighborhoods are pretty famous for really going all out with their Christmas decorations. We're going to be,
yeah.
I guess, cruising around with a BYOB kind of a situation and hors d'oeuvres, and I don't know if there'll be any caroling or other singing, Bri, but I think we're going to have a great time.
Okay. Well, it used to be one of the things, well, I suppose all over the place you do it. In Dallas, it used to be take a drive around certain of the areas in Dallas, see what they'd done for lights and things. The area where Ross Perot lived was always pretty good, okay?
I can imagine.
Those are in the days when you actually were allowed to take your beer with you in the car and drink it while you're driving around.
Well, that's why we hired the bus.
Yeah.
Jackie's no slouch when it comes to figuring out what we need, so.
Yeah, I was the uneducated New Zealander who didn't know what a roadie was, because I said, well, I can't drink because I'm driving. They said, well, a roadie is what you drink while you're driving. They re-educated me.
Now, you're not allowed to talk about that anymore. Well, by the way, when did they outlaw that?
Oh, I don't know, but when I was 1985, when I was the 84, 85, 6, it was still perfectly legal to drive with a drink in your hand. In fact, one of the bosses of the company I was working for introduced me to the whole thing, and he used to drive around in this Cadillac with a gin and ice balanced on the steering wheel. That's how he drove around.
Oh, that's all we need, Bri. That's all we need on the podcast.
Yeah, times have changed, okay? We've grown up. I know that. I understand that. But it was sort of a bit of an eye-opener for me, coming from a country where, even if they could smell alcohol within 100 yards of you, you're in jail.
Hey, speaking of buses, I was texting recently with Charlie Kerr from Kerr Lakeside. He's the chairman of the Precision Machine Product Suppliers, which is a group here in the Cleveland area. They recently had a tabletop event, and he got that education bus from Tri-C.
Oh, yeah.
The community college that the lovely and talented Lynn Dempsey and Jackie put together for the distributor social last year. He had that bus at his event.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Well, that would impress people. I mean, it was very, very, we were all impressed by that. The whole thinking behind it. We just hope it gets used properly and often.
The only thing is you're really not supposed to drink on that bus.
No, well, it's not quite so much the driving one, that one. It doesn't have that many seats.
Still a cool bus, though.
Yeah.
The Fastener News Report with Mike McNulty's coming up momentarily, folks.
So this guy, I'll interrupt you for a minute, this guy Quinn Fredrickson, he hasn't sort of been on this before, has he?
You're right. Quinn is an RW Baird analyst. He's on the team of 3 gentlemen who work on the FDI report, and he's new to the podcast. So Mike's going to talk with him today to recount the numbers for last month.
Okay.
The Fastener News Report is brought to us by Volt Industrial Plastics. And, of course, the title sponsors of Fully Threaded Radio are Stelfast and Lindstrom. Before we get to that, Bri, one of our other podcast sponsors is 3Q. Got a note here from Mark over there. You know, I said earlier in the podcast some of our sponsors are kind of shy. I tell you, the 3Q boys, they will not come on the podcast. I can't get them to come on. But Mark sent me a note. He said, we recently expanded our warehouse operations by another 20%.
Oh.
Yeah. You know, they're growing by leaps and bounds over there at 3Q, and hopefully a few people who hadn't known about them have heard about them through the podcast. So please let Mark know that you want to take advantage of that expanding warehouse operation over there.
Yeah, normally Mark stops by. I mean, he always goes to the Las Vegas show, but he normally stops by. Must have been busy this year. I didn't see him this year, actually. He's very hot on the Carmen Vertullo, the Fastener Training Minute. He loves that. And he follows FDI too, so he's a very good, fully threaded listener.
Team 3Q is all in, and of course Carmen Vertullo will be following the Fastener News Report, which we're going to drop on you right now.
With the news about screws that you can use.
The one and only. Here's Mike McNulty.
Thanks, Eric and Brian. This is Mike McNulty from Fastener Technology International magazine, bringing you the Fastener News Report, which is sponsored today by Volt Industrial Plastics, makers of the world's finest plastic fasteners. The Cleveland Browns are still winless in the National Football League, which is now attempting to take the attention off of its national anthem kneeling, hiding, and arm-locking festival of nonsense by now allowing juvenile and narcissistic touchdown celebrations. But I am still focused on fasteners and ready to deliver the Fastener News Report. In this episode, we're going to reveal the latest results of the Fastener Distributor Index, also known as the FDI. Also in today's broadcast, we have our top story on Hillman Group and STFS, and newsmaker headlines from Brighton Best, Windsor Corporation, MW Industries, Worth Industry North America, Threaded Fasteners, Wi-Fi, Stanley, and ClickBond. On the back page report, we're going to talk about the International Fastener Expo. We will get to all of that and the latest FDI results right after this.
Whether you need a small or large number of fasteners, there is no reason why you should have to sacrifice quality or service for that matter. Volt Industrial Plastics takes great care with each and every order to ensure you receive a quality fastener in a timely and affordable manner. Our state-of-the-art production equipment allows us to produce any quantity you request quickly and efficiently. And with same-day shipping on nearly 1 million in-stock fasteners, we carry an inventory so you don't have to. Visit us online at voltplastics.com to find out more about our quality American-made products. Volt Industrial Plastics, manufacturer of the finest plastic fasteners in the world.
Buckeye Fasteners and the Ohio Nut and Bolt Company have been servicing the fastener community since 1905. An employee-owned company for 33 years, we take great pride in the quality of products we sell, offering outstanding customer service from our very knowledgeable sales team members. Our standard product lines include graded weld screws, resistance weld fasteners, leg levelers, tube inserts, clevis pins, and various other fasteners. We have complete custom manufacturing capabilities in low carbon, medium carbon, and stainless steel materials, and our quality systems are registered to ISO standards. We also have an entire team of sourcing specialists able to locate those hard-to-find items with typically smaller minimums and shorter lead times than that of our competition. We offer same-day shipments from one of our warehouses, strategically located throughout the United States and Canada, enabling us to fulfill all your fastener needs in a very timely manner. To find out more about Buckeye Fasteners, please call us at 800-437-1689 or visit us on the web at buckeyefasteners.com. Buckeye Fasteners, product support from development to implementation.
You will meet over 2,000 fastener professionals from key manufacturing industries when you attend Fastener Fair USA, North America's only show for the entire fastener supply chain, taking place April 11th and 12th, 2018 in Cleveland, Ohio. Fastener Fair USA attracts manufacturers, distributors, suppliers, and end users from North America's fastest growing industries, such as automotive, aerospace, construction, equipment manufacturers, and many more. More than 200 companies from around the world will exhibit at Fastener Fair USA 2018, showcasing the latest in industrial and construction fasteners, assembly and installation systems, manufacturing technology, and much more. Take advantage of the opportunity to grow your business with our high-level education and training taught by industry experts, including the Fastener Training Institute, who will be participating in the inaugural show, offering product and technical training. Connect with customers and peers on the show floor and after hours at our welcome reception on April 11th at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. There is truly something for everyone who's part of the fastener supply chain at Fastener Fair USA. To request information on exhibiting or visiting Fastener Fair USA, go to fastenerfair.com/USA or call show management at 866-899-4728. We'll see you at Fastener Fair USA 2018 in the heart of America's manufacturing region, April 11th and 12th at Huntington Convention Center, Cleveland, Ohio.
You're listening to Mike McNulty's Fastener News Report on Fully Threaded Radio.
In October, the FDI stayed strong, rising to 62.2 after coming in at 61.5 the previous month. Fastener Distributor Index data is collected and analyzed by the FCH Sourcing Network, the National Fastener Distributors Association, and Baird. The FDI seeks to identify demand, pricing, and outlook trends within the American fastener distribution industry. To get some insight on these results, we talked to Quinn Fredrickson. He's one of the FDI analysts at Baird. Hi, Quinn. Thanks for joining us on the Fastener News Report.
Hi, Mike. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. So what do you think about the FDI in October and as well as for the rest of the year?
Yeah, well, as you said, it was up a little bit sequentially at 62.2 and obviously still well above 50. So, signaling continued expansion, which is obviously a good thing. And when you look at it, I think versus the last couple months, I think the thing that kind of stuck out to me was, we've been in a pretty stable range here. September was 61.5 and August was 62.7. So pretty stable range here at a really solid number for the past several months. Modest month-over-month acceleration that we did see this month was pretty consistent with what we saw in our forward-looking indicator last month. I think, as we had noted last time, was a year-to-date high for the forward-looking indicator. So, not to say that it'll stay up at that level forever, obviously, given the nature of diffusion indexes and things like that, but certainly seems to be on a pretty solid footing here overall. Another encouraging thing to point out is in terms of the sales index, we did have 73% of respondents say this month that sales were better relative to seasonal expectations, which is actually the highest figure we've had in any one month. We've had several other months where we've had, the low 70% type of range, but to get that 73% figure, I think certainly says that things are on pretty solid footing right now. And, with just a few months left in 2017, I think it's certainly fair to say we've seen a much more, sustained and positive environment here this year versus the kind of choppy pattern we had in 2016.
Yeah, I would say this is definitely the strongest FDI year that I've experienced, or that we've experienced talking about on the show. And you mentioned sales that jumped up, and the actual recording number was like 80 points, which is the first time I've ever seen that or in a long time. So pretty good sales month for October.
Yeah, there's not too much to complain about for sure right now with the figures that we've been seeing, like I said, for the past several months. Pretty solid numbers overall in the FTI and the sales numbers specifically.
Yeah, and you mentioned the forward-looking indicator, also called FLI. It actually dropped this time, 59.1, versus you mentioned the last month was a world record for the forward-looking indicator. But 59 is still a pretty solid number for forward-looking.
Absolutely, and again, with the nature of the diffusion index, you're not going to continue to have acceleration every single month, but to have that 59.1 figure, I think, is a really, really good number. And, I think just put in a little bit of broader context, that's still well above the average we saw in 2016, which on a retrospective basis was 49.7. So still well above what we saw in 2016. It was a little bit below than, the average we've seen this year, which is, really strong, 61.3. But, bottom line with that expansionary forward-looking indicator and really still very supportive end markets in general, we think that the market conditions are still likely to remain in growth mode here in the coming months and into next year.
Yeah, it's probably a good point to remind anybody who's a new listener that any numbers above 50 are growth mode. So getting the FDI above 60 and the forward-looking indicator at almost 60 is a pretty solid growth indicators. Now, what about contacts that you have? What are they telling you out there in the field? I know Fastenal reported their monthly sales numbers recently.
Yeah, so in terms of the public companies that we track, so Fastenal just reported their October daily sales growth earlier this week, and it was a really good number at 13.8% year-over-year growth. That was slightly above what we were looking for, which was 13.5%. And that's, inclusive of some really solid fastener growth of 11.5% or 7.9% on an organic basis. And, we've been expecting, we continue to expect Fastenal to see double-digit organic growth through the remainder of 2017 here. In terms of some of the other public companies in the distribution realm that we cover, Grainger told us with September sales that accelerated to, plus 7% versus, they were looking at kind of a 1% type of growth in August. And MSC Industrial had September and organic daily sales growth tracking up about 8% preliminarily, which is relatively stable with what they had seen. So good numbers among the public distributors that we follow. And then in terms of some of our private companies, as you mentioned, we survey, typically hundreds of different contacts across many different distribution industries. And, the overall results were very solid in the third quarter, relatively steady growth seen sequentially. And the outlook that our contacts are seeing for 4Q implies pretty similar near-term trends, pretty strong sequential growth. And, the initial 2018 outlook placed growth at the higher end of the range of kind of what we've seen over the last 5 years. And it was up, even nicely versus the initial 2017 outlook. So that's all obviously encouraging. And just in terms of some of the product groups that we track, generally activity across most of the, durable goods manufacturing industries, again, inflected higher, which has been relatively consistent with what we've seen, over the last quarter or two here, and similar to the fastener acceleration we've seen both at Fastenal and here at the FTI. So all pretty good signs from both our public companies that we follow and our private company contacts.
Yeah, so in summary, everything pointing up, and you mentioned you guys do quarterly surveys, and those were solid, and your general economic data is solid, not just for the rest of this year, but looking into 2018. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So, in terms of some of the, recent economic data points that, we track, obviously the October ISM PMI came in at 58.7. Which, again, as a diffusion index is certainly a good sign and in growth mode. That was also down a little bit versus September's reading, which was 60.8, but that represented the 14th straight month of above 50 ISM, so pretty strong there. Construction spending was up 2% year over year in September, really led by single-family construction spending at 11.9% growth, and multifamily housing was kind of flattish, which is consistent with sort of a slowdown that we've been seeing over the last 6 months or so in multifamily starts, but still overall construction up a little bit in September. And industrial production in September also up a little bit, up 1.6% year-over-year growth, which has been pretty steady growth since, kind of the March time frame. which is an encouraging sign, after having negative, industrial production for most of 2015 and 2016, to get up back into that modest growth is encouraging. And then, in terms of the broader U.S. economy, all the Fed surveys remain nicely positive. Real GDP growth in 3Q, I think preliminarily was up 3%, which was, relatively stable versus the 3.1% we saw in 2Q. And, the employment outlook continues to look pretty good, with unemployment ticking down to 4.1% in October, which is down about 0.7% since the start of the year. So, relatively pretty good and healthy labor market. And I think, your guest last month had mentioned, fairly tight labor markets, and that's certainly something that, we've been seeing in the numbers, with unemployment being as low as it is, and then, from some of our public companies and our private contacts that, we hear that the labor markets are really healthy right now, and sometimes just finding good quality people is definitely a challenge.
Yeah, definitely. I keep hearing that about, people want to hire and it's hard to find good people. So I guess it's a good time to be a valuable employee.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're doing a good job, you can certainly see some nice opportunities. So.
Right. Now, we also, regular listeners know that we get comments, people who, fill out the survey. Sometimes they add comments. This time around, we didn't have a whole lot of comments, but they were mostly positive, and here are some of those. We had someone said that construction industry trends are up, agricultural production is doing very well, and aged equipment is being upgraded or replaced. The world is eating more and working more. We're on what appears to be a steady upward trend. I think the overall activity will be the same or slightly better. Price increases are expected to continue to rise, but at a much more moderate rate. And the last comment we got was someone said they have a mixed bag with year-to-year sales amongst their top clients. So all pretty positive, except for the mixed bag comment. But even mixed bags usually average out to be decent.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty consistent with too. Just from a quantitative standpoint, we had I think 90% of respondents say they expect stable or higher activity levels over the next 6 months.
Right.
And so, I mean, when you hear that, I think one of the comments, relative to saying basically, I think the activity will be the same or slightly better, but the end of the year tends to be, a little bit slower. So, that could impact the growth a little bit. But, I think that certainly wouldn't be surprising to people, what with, the holidays and people taking off work and things like that things could, maybe slow down a little bit relative to the really nice growth that we've been seeing. But, it certainly seems like, with that 90% expecting stable or higher activity levels, that the underlying activity remains very healthy, and the overall outlook is certainly pretty solid.
Yeah, should finish the year out pretty strong, I think.
Yep.
Okay, to close up, I know you've taken time out. You're attending this week your industrial conference, your annual conference. I think you said it's one of your busiest weeks of the year. What can you tell us about that conference?
Yeah, I'd say, the tone is very consistent with, for sure, what we've been seeing, here at the FTI and in the general economy and the macro data points that we track. I think a lot of our different companies have been talking about, improving end markets, the manufacturing environment getting a lot better this year, and kind of returning with industrial production being up. Relative to the comments that we were talking about earlier with labor, potentially some labor shortages. Some of our companies have been talking about, that going into next year, that we could see, potentially some wage inflation and pressures that companies are working to offset with, productivity and just trying to be more efficient. But the overall tone in terms of the trend is very positive, and people, I think, generally are looking at 2018 as being a pretty solid year.
Well, that's good to hear. Now, this is the first time that you've been on the program with us, but I know that you've been working on the FDI for a long time, so I wanted to take this opportunity to say thanks for the analytical work that you do on the FDI. I know our listeners appreciate it, and thanks for joining us today on the Fastener News Report. Hope to talk to you down the road.
Yeah, no problem, Mike. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Very good. That was Quinn Fredrickson. He's one of the FDI analysts at Baird, and the FDI number for October was 62.2. Visit www.fdisurvey.com to participate in the process and get a detailed PDF copy of Baird's monthly analysis. Now for today's top story. The Hillman Companies Incorporated and the Hillman Group Incorporated have entered into an asset purchase agreement to acquire the assets and certain liabilities of Hargis Industries LP, which is doing business as ST Fastening Systems, also known as STFS, a specialty fastener manufacturer and distributor based in Tyler, Texas. STFS's products are sold to metal building fabricators, hardware wholesalers, and building products distributors in the USA. Bruce Crouch will continue to lead STFS, which will keep its headquarters in Tyler, Texas, while continuing to operate a distribution center in Cincinnati, Ohio. Greg Lukowski, CEO of Hillman, said that Bruce is a great addition to the Hillman leadership. And Mr. Crouch added, I am excited to partner with Hillman to build on the great momentum we have created at STFS. He also thanked Joe Hargis, the founder of STFS, for his vision, passion, and contributions that have made the sale to Hillman possible. Next up, today's Fastener Newsmaker headlines. In acquisition, expansion, and investment news, Brighton Best International has acquired Koala Nails in Australia. The partners of Shoreview Industries have made an undisclosed investment in Windsor Corporation. MW Industries is expanding into the European aerospace market through a business alliance with Surfeo in France. Worth Industry North America has acquired Weinstock Brothers Incorporated. And Threaded Fasteners Incorporated has welcomed State Line Fasteners to its family of businesses, and it recently acquired the inventory of a Mississippi-based fastener firm, taking ownership of more than 111 pallets of material totaling more than 1 million parts. In personnel news, Brighton Best International has promoted Lonnie Stowe to the position of branch manager for BBI Atlanta. Carrie Ann Whitworth of Edsco Fasteners has been appointed as the 2018 president of the Women in the Fastener Industry organization, also known as Wi-Fi. Stanley Black & Decker has named Dr. Mark Maybury to the newly created position of Chief Technology Officer. Robert Rocky Kraft has joined Hillman Group as Chief Financial Officer and Treasurer, and ClickBond has announced 5 promotions and 1 new hire. Alexander Bellman Carter III, Vice President, Technology. Clyde Simmons, Facilities Manager. Dugan Murray, Director of Manufacturing. Glenn Hutt, Senior Manager, Environmental Health and Safety. William Roth, Senior Manager, Supply Chain and Materials Management. And Randy Bourgeois has joined ClickBond as the Director of Continuous Improvement. You can get details on all of these stories and more in Fastener Technology International magazine and the Fastener News Report newsletter, available in print, PDF, and flipbook editions by visiting FastenerTech.com. Finally, let's turn to the back page to talk about the IFE show in Las Vegas. Numbers have been released on the Industrial Fastener Expo, also known as IFE, which was held in Las Vegas last month at the Las Vegas Convention Center. This was the 37th annual show, and its organizer, Emerald Expositions, reports a new attendance record of more than 5,000 people, which included over 2,500 qualified decision makers, 53% executive-level personnel, and more than 750 exhibiting companies. The attendance number reported is an increase of 26% versus the 2015 event, and about the same as the 2016 event, which also had about 750 exhibitors. According to our count, about 57% of the exhibitors came from the USA, and the rest mostly came from Asia. And there was a sprinkling of European and Canadian companies thrown into the mix. Special features in the exhibit hall included the demonstration zone and the Young Professional and Hall of Fame award ceremonies. Off of the show floor, there were several welcome events, happy hours, education sessions, and the opening night industry party, which featured over 1,000 attendees, many who enjoyed the open bar, as well as the whiskey tasting and cigar rolling sessions and the free IFE hats. Emerald Exposition's strategy to co-locate with the MetalCon show produced what Emerald calls, quote, the busiest show floor IFE has ever seen, unquote. Under Emerald Expo's new strategy for drawing attendees, IFE attracted dozens of C-level teams from distributors like Optimus Solutions and Worth Industry North America, including their CEOs who walked the show floor. Emerald also reported that 55% of the largest 50 global distributors attended IFE 2017. Changes for 2018 include a new venue, more exhibition hours, new dates, and massive crossover potential. Next year, the show moves to Mandalay Bay Resort, October 30th through November 1st for 2.5 days of exhibits, and its dates overlap with the 2018 SEMA show, which will attract around 70,000 domestic and international buyers of automotive specialty products. Programming changes for the 2018 show include an expo preview day and an education track that will focus on skill gap challenges and e-commerce. I always enjoy the Las Vegas Fastener shows, and 2017 was well executed. I'm also looking forward to the improvements and expansions planned for 2018 so I can do an even better job of staying focused on fasteners. This has been Mike McNulty of Fastener Technology International bringing you the Fastener News Report. Please send your news, pictures, comments, corrections, or complaints to me at mcnulty@fastenertech.com.
What does rock star Simmi think about all this? Stick around. You'll find out. She'll be joining us right after this is Fully Threaded.
What's the real value of Lindstrom? You probably know us as a leading specialty fastener master distributor. But what really sets us apart is a commitment to providing added value for the distributors we serve. Over the years, we've developed a solid foundation of value-added specialties, including hard-to-find products, expertise in secondary processes, in-house manufacturing, technical services, and unique inventory management programs. As we continue to expand, Lindstrom is focused on a single goal: to bring our distributors the perfect combination of convenience, flexibility, value, and choice, to be the source for everything distributors need. When you need something special, turn to Lindstrom. To learn more about Lindstrom and our expanded brand of value-added products and services, visit LindstromFastener.com. or call a sales representative at 1-800-572-5550. Lindstrom, by any measure.
Fastener Distributors. 3Q Inc. is the best-kept secret for all of your fastener needs. 3Q is the premier sourcing solution for the fastener distribution market. 3Q offers stock and release programs on all special fastener products, from flat washers, lock nuts, cold form specials, to bolts and screws. Looking to add the highest quality line of self-drilling screws? Check out the pull-tight line of serrated self-drilling screws. They bite. Distributors who know of 3Q wonder how they ever operated before without the high level of service and quality support provided by 3Q and their staff. The number 3, the letter Q, 3Q Inc. Quality products, quality service, quality customers. Welcome to 3Q.
I know my customers' yearly usage, but I don't have the warehouse space to store it.
Solution Man can. Submit a blanket order, and I'll not only set up release dates, I'll offer you bulk pricing too. Visit the Solution Industries website for details at solutionInd.com.
You're my fastener superhero.
Just doing my job, ma'am.
Well, hey everybody, this is Carmen Vertullo with the Fastener Training Minute, brought to you by the Fastener Training Institute. And I'm talking to you from the Carver Fact Center. Fastening Applications Consulting and Training is what we do here at our place in San Diego, California. I recently had a question from a client regarding the use of a torque wrench. The client was a fastener supplier, and they got the question from their customer who was using fasteners. And the question was this: if I use an extension with a torque wrench, does that modify the torque value or change the result that I'll get using that torque wrench? That's a very good question, and it has two answers. When we return, I'll tell you what they are.
Thanks,
Carmen. This is Joe Morris with the Fastener Training Institute. Before I jump into our training schedule for December, I would like to say congratulations to Mike Shibasaki from Fuller Metric. Mike is this year's winner of the Fully Threaded Radio and Fastener Training Institute Scholarship for tuition to Fastener Training Week. We were thrilled that once again we had so many applicants this year. Training can be expensive, but please do not let costs hold you back. There are other grants and scholarships available all year long to help you attend classes with the Fastener Training Institute. If you'd like more information regarding grants, please send me an email at jom@fastenertraining.com. Now, let's talk about what's new in December for training. On December 12th in Santa Fe Springs, California, we will host Fastener Basics. This class is a must for new employees. We will spend time discussing basic terminology, hex head products, thread callouts, nuts, sockets, washers, and much, much more. Join us for a full day of need-to-know Fastener Basics. Then, on December 15th, Carmen Vertullo will present the webinar, Sheet Metal Screws. Now, if you're truly a fastener nerd, you already know that the proper terminology is actually tapping screws. But my guess is there is still quite a bit about this fastener that you do not know. Join us to learn about thread forms, point styles, drives, applications, testings, and installation tips. And by the way, I am still looking for a sponsor for this webinar. Sponsoring a webinar or a live class is really a great way to help fund FTI's growth and provides a great platform for your company to promote the products that you sell. There's a lot in store at the Fastener Training Institute in 2018. Thank you to everyone for your support this year, and please visit our website at fastenertraining.org for a complete listing of our new classes for next year. Now, back to Carmen for our Fastener Training Minute.
Well, welcome back to the Fastener Training Minute. This is Carmen Vertullo talking to you today about torque wrench use. Now, the question that I received had to do with the use of an extension on a torque wrench. Now, I'm going to have to ask you to use your imagination here. I wish we had a screen to show you, but we don't. So just think about using a typical ratchet with an extension and a socket. And that extension comes directly out of the square drive of the ratchet, goes onto the socket, and the socket goes onto the fastener. Everything lines up. Now, torque is equal to force times distance. So when we apply torque to a fastener, the distance between where the fastener is and where our hand is on the tool is the distance. So let's say that tool's ratchet was 1 foot long. And then we're going to apply, let's say, 50 pounds of force at that place where our hand is on the tool. That equals to 50 foot-pounds. It's that simple. Now, a torque wrench works the same way as a ratchet, except it has a control device in it to help us control the torque. The most common type of torque wrench is called a clicker. And when we reach the torque that's set in the tool, the wrench kind of slips a little bit and gives us a click, lets us know where to stop. So the question is, when I put that extension on that torque wrench like I would on a ratchet, does it affect the torque value? Well, think about that. Does the distance between the fastener and where your hand touches that wrench or applies the force on that wrench change? In this case, it does not. So the answer is no. As long as you keep that extension straight up and down between the output of the torque wrench and where the socket attaches to the fastener, you will not affect the application of torque through the torque wrench. Now, there's another type of extension sometimes that goes on a torque wrench. These are called crow's feet or dog bones, and they actually do affect the length of that torque wrench in the torque equals force times distance equation. Next time on the Fastener Training Minute, we'll tell you how to deal with changing the torque value in a torque wrench when we have an extension that changes the length of distance in the torque equals force times distance equation. Well, now you know something maybe about torque wrench use that you didn't know before. This has been Carmen Vertullo with the Fastener Training Minute. Thanks for listening.
This is Leo Core, editor of Distributors Link magazine, and you're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Brian and Eric back with you, and we're joined now by a true rock star of the fastener industry. It's been way too long since we spoke to her on the podcast. I'm speaking, of course, of president of Stelfast, a lady and scholar in her own right. Hello, Simmi.
Hello, Eric. I think I should have you introduce me anytime I walk in a room. I'll take that.
That'll do, yeah.
Well, we promised to avoid Brady Bunch trivia this time, so you agreed to join us, and we're sure glad that you did. Fully threaded listeners who go way back with us might remember an episode where we wasted too much time on, I think, Cindy Brady stuff. Hey, we saw you last time in Vegas. Now, we've covered the Las Vegas show to death, but that was actually the last time we talked to you, and you were pretty busy as always, surrounded by customers, staff, autograph seekers. Did you have a good show?
There you go. We had a good show. Any chance to meet that many customers in one place is always worthwhile.
I didn't get a chance. Eric, doesn't let me get out of the booth that much, so I never even got to Stelfast booth, or any others for that matter.
Yeah, people know, Brian.
I know. I do that to death as well.
He doesn't get out of the booth because all the people who go looking for him, that's why.
No, I'm not. There's not throngs of people trying to find me.
Simmi knows a little bit about that, Bri. Well, it was a good show. I think overall people are in agreement there. I was curious. I know you're definitely someone who knows how to sniff out a good restaurant. When you were at Vegas this year, where did Team Stelfast find to enjoy a little repast after the activities on the show floor?
Dining time is definitely my favorite. Vegas is always interesting because there's just so many different places to pick from.
Yep.
We, as a team, have a tendency to go back to Zeffirino's. I don't know if you've been there, in the Venetian, and they always do an amazing job.
One of my favorites.
I haven't been there. We usually try places that we've tried ones off the strip, and we do a little bit of similar, Lynn and I, after one of the days. So what does Zeffirino specialize in?
They're great at everything that they do. Unfortunately, Vegas isn't a place I get to dine out and eat as much as I'd like. I spend a couple of the evenings sort of walking around and visiting our team members at their dinners with their customers and enjoying looking at what they're eating while I sort of stop by and say hello before I move on to a meeting or something like that.
Yep.
So I can't say I've really gotten a chance to enjoy all the great restaurant places in Vegas, but dining and food is definitely one of my favorite things.
Well, what'd you have?
Zeffirino's? Well, it's Italian. Pasta, of course.
I see. I go to Italian places and try not to eat pasta. I eat all the other Italian stuff.
I was going to say, if ever you guys make the trip up to Toronto, we definitely have a lot of amazing restaurants up here.
Yeah, I actually took you up on that a couple of years ago, and you took me out to an amazing steakhouse. In Chicagoland, we have one called Morton's. Well, it's actually countrywide, but it's known for its presence in Chicago. But this was similar to a Morton's kind of an experience. I forgot exactly where it was. In Mississauga, I believe it was, right? Simmi?
Yeah, it was right by the office in Mississauga. It's a place we've been going for probably 30 years now.
Yeah, and they have potatoes like the size of footballs.
There you go.
Hell, the waiter basically treated Surinder like he owned 50% of the place, so I could tell he was in there pretty frequently. You guys are pretty much regulars over there, and that was an amazing place. Well, Vegas is known for its steak joints as well. We used to hit one probably before the show moved over at New York, where they had the really good aged steaks. That was always cool.
Oh,
yes.
Really?
Oh, no, it was, in the very early days, I'm talking like 8 or 9 years ago, Eric's father used to join us, and mainly to stop us getting so despondent because no one wanted to actually use the web to do anything.
Or have dinner with us.
Or have dinner with us, or talk to us, or do anything. And so Eric's father used, on the last night of the show, Eric's father would take us out for dinner. It was always a marvelous steak dinner. And so he used to take us to this place in New York, where you could see the steaks that had been aged all in a big glass box outside the place. It was a very good place.
Yeah, there is no place like Vegas when it comes to steaks, and they bring out that lovely trolley to explain to you all the wonderful steaks that they have.
Yeah. Well, this year, Lynn and I decided that we would take a third job and shout ourselves out to Bobby Flay's restaurant in Las Vegas. And
nice.
He's one of the guys on TV,
yep.
Celebrity Chefs, and we had a great meal there. It was a terrific meal. He specialised in the sauces and things that go with, it was a southwestern sort of style, the Mesa Grill. So you're right. There's lots of good places. The problem is it's, by the time the show ends, you're sort of so tired, it's sort of a bit of a chore going out and eating.
It is a demanding show. It's busy, and in Vegas, nothing is close by, so it's a lot of walking, that's for sure.
Yeah, right.
Well, you travel around to lots of places, not just Vegas, obviously, and you sample some of the world's fine cuisines wherever you go. But, do you consider yourself kind of a foodie? Is that one of your things, or is it just kind of a professional hazard of sorts?
No, I would say when opportunity presents itself, definitely a foodie.
Do you like cooking? Do you consider yourself a good cook?
No, I think that's why I'm a foodie, because I can't stand cooking. So if I can eat out 3 meals a day, Brian, I am a happy person.
Oh, dear. Okay, so we might have to cut that bit out.
There you go.
Okay. Well, there's good reasons for being foodie. I agree. You don't have to be a cook to be a foodie. You just have to like food.
Exactly. I'm a foodie out of necessity.
Okay.
Yeah, but that also puts you in kind of a special kind of a conflict situation because, you appreciate fine food, but you don't make it yourself. So there's got to be some kind of a stopgap food that you make for yourself or your family since you're not into cooking. Some people are addicted to mac and cheese. Some people it's ramen noodles. What's your go-to slop it on the plate dish?
I'm a basic cook with pretty much anything. So, fish, chicken, whatever sort of the kids are in the mood for, I'm okay with making it. It's just, if I have a choice, I'd rather not make it and eat it out. I'm one of those people where, I'll host Christmas dinner at home, do the whole trimmings, everything like that, but when I'm done cooking, I just don't want to eat it.
Oh, God.
So I let everyone else enjoy it, which they do, fortunately. But after spending it in the kitchen all day, I'm one of those people who just doesn't eat my own cooking.
Yeah, my sister's exactly like that, actually. She loves cooking, and when the time it's all over for Christmas dinner, she doesn't want to eat anything.
There you go.
Not me. Okay. But still. Wow. Okay. That's cool.
Well, that's really the only way that you can explain some of the world's greatest chefs are thin as a rail, and you'd have to have that kind of a disposition. I would never personally be able to pull it off, but God bless you if you can do it. That's for sure. You ever get your cholesterol checked right after the Vegas show? Yeah, right after the Vegas show.
I don't think I've done it right after Vegas. Mine's not bad. Mine's usually November, December. I manage okay. But I think it's because I do all the walking around and not as much of the eating in Vegas. I think for me it would be like after Christmas or after New Year's, go get it checked and see what happens.
Yeah, that's the very time to stay away from all that stuff. The scales especially.
Yeah, you got to be a glutton for punishment. I got back from Vegas this year. My triglycerides are like 430 or something like that, Too much fine scotch is what I think it is.
There you go.
God.
Yeah, big mistake. Big mistake. Well, speaking of Vegas then, just very briefly, one last thing that I noted while we were out there. Of course, lots of events going on. One of them, Young Fastener Professionals. Stelfast, of course, a big supporter of that organization. One thing that was missing at the show this year was our, former good buddy, Ryan Curtis. He wasn't at the show. He was a previous Young Fastener Professional of the Year. We have a saying in the industry, which I know you know, Simmi. It's something like, once you're in this industry, you never leave, but obviously we've got an exception here.
We do. Ryan got a great opportunity to move into a different industry, and we were excited for him to take the opportunity, and he's moved out of the fastener industry from a day-to-day basis, but I know that he still stays in contact with the group. I know he's still involved with the group. I know he still has some social media and things like that he has out there on information about fasteners as well. So I know it's still near and dear to him. He's just moved on from a day-to-day basis to a different industry.
Okay, well, let's wish him well on that then. Everyone's entitled to make a choice at some stage.
Well, he made a lot of waves in the short amount of time he was here, and I don't blame him, actually, for being the age that he is. It's good to get a wide sampling of experiences under your belt, possibly before he comes home to roost here in his true home, which is the fastener industry.
You never know. He did start here. He may come back.
Well, his name is emblazoned up there on that wall, so I guess he's always got a home.
That he does.
Simmi, I know you're a keen observer of the Fastener Distributor Index, and we've been pushing that project along, believe it or not, 6 years or so, and you've been watching it from the beginning. Do you have any comments on the recent numbers that have come out?
Well, I think my first comment's on the fact that I commend you guys on publishing this on a regular basis. I think that it's a great touch point for us to stop and look at and contribute to, and be able to see what's happening in the industry from a data and number standpoint. A lot of time in our industry we go by gut feeling, and being able to see data I think is always really helpful. I know we've used this for new team members, especially on management levels, and we make sure they get a copy of this so they can take a look at it and understand the industry a little bit better. So first of all, I think it's great that you guys do that. I think the numbers are really accurate and representative of where things are today. I think if I remember correctly, you had October up a little bit from September.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's been a busy and stable fall. We'll sort of see now. We're at, the traditional time that everyone starts to slow down, and numbers may change a little. Got Thanksgiving around the corner, and then leading to sort of Christmas and New Year's, and a lot of people year-ends and inventories and stuff like that. So we'll sort of see what happens over the next couple months. But I think it is a good representation of the fact that it's been busy for many people and fairly stable.
Yeah, stably positive looking outlook.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it, Brian.
Well, the new forward-looking index, which is a new feature that Dave Manthe and crew over there at RW Baird added to the FDI index, that's been extremely interesting to watch. So even, Simmi, if the numbers do cool off a little bit, that forward optimism, I think, is going to be with us for a little while, saving some kind of an event, which I don't know what that might be. But on that topic, I was reading over the Stelfast website. That's stelfast.com, everybody, if you want to get out there. You mentioned state-of-the-art demand forecasting. How does that work exactly? You touch on that in the context of purchasing on the website. Demand forecasting, what is that?
It's a combination of art and crystal ball. It's always very challenging to be able to forecast out as far as we have to be able to see what you need on the floor and where you see businesses going. Our customer, the distributor level, has a little bit more leeway where they have maybe some more contracts that are steady, or they have shorter lead times because they can draw from people like Stelfast when they need product. They're forecasting slightly different. We have to forecast out when we buy today what we think the industry is going to be doing in 6 months from today. So because of that, we've got a team that has spent years now, really, in fine-tuning and developing how do you look at history to be able to predict what's going to happen in the future. So it really has sort of become state-of-the-art for us because it's integral to what we do. If we don't have it, we can't support our customers. So we've really had to put a lot of time and energy into doing this. And it's all computer-driven. The way the industry has changed, the way technology has advanced, it's fantastic, the things that we can do a little bit faster now than back in the day when we first started this.
Right.
But it's a computer-driven forecasting and calculation that we're constantly improving on and mapping our success on. So sort of the way you have your forward-looking, that you take a look to see what people are expecting, how things are going to go, and you can gauge your forward-looking versus what actually happens. We spend a lot of time forecasting and gauging how our forecast works with what really happened to make sure we constantly improve it.
So what sort of you must have numerous sorts of input into it.
Yeah, we do. It's all driven from our ERP and being able to see consumption, missed consumption because of product, analyze where we see production flows overseas, analyze where we see pricing trends overseas, where we see transit times, as well as then laying into that where we see different industries driving, and then using all of that to try to come up with some sort of a forecast that we feel will give us a good idea as to what we need to have on the floor to support the distributor. Our job here is to be able to give our distributors the ability to pull on what they need when they need it and sort of drive their inventory turns and not fill up their warehouses with stuff they don't need. So it becomes a very important part of what we do.
Wow. You need a good crystal ball as part of it too.
Part of it is crystal ball.
Yeah, we all need one of those for sure.
Wow. Yeah.
After we get done with the recording, I'm going to ask you if I should be getting into Bitcoin right now or, We'll talk about that offline. But, it occurs to me that this is obviously a crucial point of operating in the master distributor tier,
right?
Just the nature of your business. I wonder, how do you feel that Stelfast has a responsibility, or if not a responsibility, at least a value-added component of passing some of your forecasts along to distributors to help them along? I mean, is that part of what Stelfast provides to your distributors?
So where we try to provide that as a service to our distributors is we have a fair number of customers who will come to us to do what we call stock for releases. It's manage their orders. They'll say, we're estimating to use this many pieces of these SKUs over the next 6 to 12 months. And we've got the ability through our systems to be able to report back to customers, here's what you thought you were going to use, here's what you have been using, here's where you may run out of stock or have too much of stock where you've made commitments to us. Do you need us to change things around for you? We try to work with them and balance their inventory that way so that we run the metrics and give them some information on what their usage is looking like. They have more time to service their customers and do what they need to do.
I'll just note right here as an editorial comment that anyone who's not working with Stelfast and has way too much stuff on the shelf, FCH has got your back, folks.
Oh. Or anyone who's working with Stelfast and doesn't have enough stock needs to give them a call.
That's true. Good call, Brian.
So, Simmi, to what extent then do you, this interests me, your forecasting tool. Do you go back and try and look back and say 6 months past to see where you thought you were going to be and where you actually were to try and improve the forecasting tool? How do you do that?
Yeah, so that's the black hole that you have to be careful with. So we do map it out to see where we thought we would be versus where we are. Yep. But there's so many things that can change between then and now. There's times we just get lost in the numbers and stories and sort of forget to come out and do what we need to do next. So we do sample it rather than sort of going to every SKU and every level. We try to run a sampling to see what our success rate was.
Yeah, you have to do some of that, but you're right. It becomes a sort of a black art because it's close to magic.
Correct. And, you guys get used to this as well, where you have so many different numbers you can look at and so many different data sets in front of you. You can get lost in data for days if you wanted to. So knowing it's that 80-20 split, right? It's knowing what are the critical things you need to look at that are actually going to help change what you're doing, and what's the other noise that you need to disregard at that moment.
Right.
So that in itself has taken time to figure out how we do that.
Well, we will be interested in talking to you to see how this forecasting tool, because this sort of thing is fascinating, and it's sort of things you couldn't do 10 years ago because the computers simply weren't powerful enough to go through sets of numbers.
Correct.
Well, all you have to do is scan the headlines today and you see numerous mentions of AI, and who knows what's coming down the pike. I suppose I keep thinking actually of my previous, I used to watch the first generation of Doctor Who, and I keep remembering like these really cheesy stage props where they'd have somebody's brain in this cauldron of fluid, and they'd have wires coming out of it. I wonder if they'd have one of those we could, like, someday in the long from now when Bruce Darling passes away, maybe he'll donate his brain to the fastener industry. We could put his brain in one of those.
And that's the thing. You've got AI and you've got computers, but no matter how much you can run forecasting modules and macros and all these different things that are out there, without a brain like Bruce's to be able to look at things and learn from experience, a lot of that stuff ends up falling short.
Oh, yeah, you can have the smartest computer in the world, but it may not necessarily be as smart as a very well-seasoned and a thoughtful person coming up with the same sort of views.
And if you read what a lot of the big data technologists are saying these days, you're right, Simmi. It's not for lack of data that we're having problems. What you hear over and over again, it's asking the correct questions of the data that you have. That's really preventing people from making the most use out of it. We find that in our own business. What do you want to know?
And it's fascinating because there's so much now. Everybody's getting used to this concept of data mining. It's the buzz that everyone's doing, gather the data and mine it for something. But if you don't know what you're mining it for, or you don't know how the data was gathered, you're completely lost.
That's true. You can do lots of mining. You might just be digging up tons of crap. I mean, you have to. There's no point unless you actually are smart enough to work out how to select the right stuff.
Well, let's take a step back and put a finer point on this. You're getting a lot of data, a lot of input in general, Simmi, from all over the place, I'm sure. And just as a matter of public service, say, to the fastener industry, from your vantage point, look into the future for the next quarter or two. Do you see anything coming that listeners should be paying attention to? I mean, price hikes or different things that could be affecting pricing, whatever it might be?
I think from an overseas standpoint, it's definitely a very interesting time to be watching what's going on. So traditionally, in the United States, you guys are winding down. You have Thanksgiving coming. You have Christmas coming. For those of us who spend our time focusing more on Asia and what's happening there versus the buying we need to do today, it's completely different time. This is rush time. This is Chinese New Year now starts factoring in into delivery times. This is the cold months in China where pollution is more apparent than ever. And what steps is that going to cause them to take next? So for us, this is probably the busiest time because we go from a typical lead time to an extended lead time. And we also go to the uncertainty with the focus that's been put on the environment in Asia about what this time in winter will bring around for them. So we're watching to see what's happening. We're busy trying to get all of our things completed that we need to do. But it's definitely a time to be looking at what you're going to be needing in spring, what you're going to be expecting in spring, and recognizing that there's going to be some shifts, I think, happening overseas. I think it's going to take longer to get your product because of some of the downtimes in Chinese New Year, because of some of the closures going on. And I think it's between now and springtime for us, it ends up being really busy in trying to procure the product that we need.
Do you think that the problems that have been, everyone had recently really relating to, I guess, the central government cracking down on pollution in some of the treatment factories, do you think that's over, or are they monitoring it carefully and maybe prepared to make more adjustments to their plans?
I would believe it's a work in process. I think that the environmental pollution in countries like China and in places like India, if you take a look at just the pictures on the media, forget even visiting over there, has risen to a level that the governments have to take into account what's going on and make changes. They have to start shifting the older industries, which is what fasteners and steel is. We have to shift those older industries into what today's expectations are. And I think the cleanup process in a lot of the countries where they need to do it is going to be an ongoing process. I think the way China started it was they started it off with this big impact. Will the impact grow at that strong of a level every time they do it? I don't know. But I don't see this as something that's going to stop tomorrow. I think that there's places in the world that we owe it to the next generation to be making sure that we're cleaning up the air that they're breathing, cleaning up the water that they're drinking. And because of that, I think the process is just going to continue.
So this is the new normal, and everybody's got to stay kind of fluid and be aware of who you're sourcing with. I guess another strong point for Stelfast, you need a company like Stelfast to be able to guide you through that and be watching out for all the places where it's most advantageous to get supplied.
Well, I think you'll hear from us and you'll hear from other companies that import that. The other thing that we find very helpful, and I'm sure they also find helpful, is having people on the ground in different countries that are part of your team. So we've got team members in Taiwan and in China, and it's been really important to us to have that, to understand the climate of what's happening over there and not just reading the newspaper. Because you do need to understand reality versus perception.
Yep, you're right.
Yeah, it's a big story, and there's no question that there's a lot of valid environmental activity happening over there, or let's just say environment-generated activity, but there's other things going on there as well, as everybody knows, and it's hard to find authentic reporting on it, and it's even harder to interpret it. So I know you've got the well-placed people who are helping you out there. Thanks for sharing that. Let's talk about some big news from Stelfast. Stelfast entered the metric market in a big way, And if you're like everyone else we know in this industry, Simmi, you're still getting that message out. So what can you tell us for people who still might not have heard the news that Stelfast has gone metric?
So we did make the decision this year. We've traditionally been a fastener house that sold inch fasteners, and we decided this year to bring in metric fasteners as well. And as with pretty much every decision we make in this company, it was driven by our current customer base coming to us and saying, this is something we'd really like you to do. We have a demand for it. We have a need for it. We're already getting certain products from you. Would you consider doing this? And after working with some key customers and understanding what it was that they were looking for, we decided to bring in metric product. And we've tried to do it in a manner that would help out our customers the best, which is not just bring in one or two things, but bring in a full line of nuts, bolts, washers, screws, even to the point of bringing in threaded rod as well. So it's all on the floor and it's available. Fortunately for us, I agree with you, Eric, or sometimes it's challenging to market out to people what you have versus what they may be asking for. The benefit we've had at Stelfast in launching this line is we listened to the customers as to what they wanted and brought those products in. So a lot of the customers were aware when the orders were being placed and the products were coming in that this is the type of stuff we're going to have. So now it's just sort of getting the information out to the rest of the industry that we've got metric on the floor as well. Vegas always is a great place for stuff like that because you get to see so many customers. But The response so far has been really good. We've brought in a good quality line. We've got competitive pricing, and the customers seem to be reacting really positively to it.
Right, well, we wish you much more success in making everyone know than we've had, because at the show this year I had like half a dozen people who'd never ever heard of Fasteners Clearinghouse before stop by. We're only going 12 years now, okay?
I can't remember what the rule of thumb is as to how many times you have to say something for someone to remember, because, I can tell you there's customers I'll visit who'll say, I didn't know you stocked this and this, and it's something we talked about last time. But I think, we all get so busy in the day-to-day, sometimes it is easy to forget or overlook. But that's why opportunities like being on this podcast is great to be able to get the message out, because you guys have such a large base of listeners. It's a huge opportunity for us to just even talk about it on the podcast, so I appreciate it.
You are always welcome, Simmi, as you know, and it's always great to have you on the podcast. So that's an even exchange right there. Actually, we're getting the better end of that stick. But Brian never misses an opportunity to point out how my marketing efforts might be falling short here and there. But really appreciate that once again, Brian.
It's all right.
No, I tell you, listen,
You're welcome.
Let's just put it out there. It's a little frustrating. I think what it is we do a good job, Simmi, on the channels that are available to us, getting our messages out there. It's just that it seems there's a certain segment of the fastener industry that is impervious to any kind of media appeal. I mean, I don't know where they're at. I don't know how to talk to them.
I think some of us, including myself at times, have been doing this for so long. We have habits where we tend to forget to look outside of the box to see what's going on. So definitely don't stop. Stay out there, and I'm sure more and more will listen every day. But I'd be surprised, the people who stopped by who hadn't heard, I wonder, Brian, if you asked them if they knew who Eric was, if they would know, because I bet you they still know who Eric is.
Oh, that would require some soul searching for me to have to deal with that one.
See,
I'm not
Brian?
sure if I want to do that.
See? Yeah, now we really have to get you on more frequently, Simmi. See? And this is working out better than I was hoping. Well, let me ask you this before we move off of the metric idea. And folks, by the way, there's more info on Stelfast's metric line, as you would expect, on their website. Once again, www.stelfast.com. Simmi, let me ask you, do you have a favorite DIN number?
Oh, wow. That's an interesting question. Do I have a favorite DIN number? I do like numbers.
Some people don't, but just curious.
Well, the most common one I've always heard is 933, but I can't say that that's my favorite DIN
Yes! Number. I was hoping you'd say that.
You would say that, wouldn't you? Okay.
Yeah, but it's not. I don't think it is. I think 934 would be my favorite DIN number.
Oh, because, 933, fully threaded cap screw. All right. I had my fun with that. Hey, one other question about Stelfast. I noticed on the front page of your website that you were pointing out Stelfast at your fingertips, and there's a graphic there of the mobile. Do you see mobile technology a little bit more coming on with people accessing your website and your various technologies? I mean, is this something that's happening in the fastener industry from the Stelfast vantage point?
I think mobile's always important. I'm not sure how many people access it as much as they really should. I think it's still underused. But because of the fact that we recognize that mobile is as important as anything else, anything we design from a technology standpoint where customers are accessing, we make sure that it's designed in a way that they can access it from a mobile device as well.
It's hard. It's
so
very
much of
smart.
the future.
Yeah, it's hard to do. I mean, really, but you're right.
Yeah, that's the only policy you can have anymore. And we'll be talking more about that in upcoming episodes of the podcast. We've been having some conversations with our SEO consultants, and I think you're dead on with that comment, Simmi. Once again, folks, it's www.stelfast.com. We've been talking with Rockstar Simmi. She's the head honcho over there. And once again, thank you so much for joining us. Before we let you roll with your whirlwind day, Simmi, let me just say that we enjoyed, once again, the Stelfast Monkey, which was purple this year and launched at the Vegas show. You had a contest to select the color internally, and we heard that your Seattle branch won that contest. Was that accurate information?
Yeah, actually the way it worked was we had every branch was permitted to pick a color for the monkey for this year. And we put it out there on the website for customers to log on to our website and vote. We had tons of traffic. It was unbelievable.
Oh, that's cool.
And we had a lot of branch managers out there really pushing for their customers to be voting for their branch's color. At the end of the day, we tallied all the votes once we closed it up, and Seattle was the one who won.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really great.
And did they get some kind of acknowledgement within the company or an award or anything? What was the prize?
So every year as a company we make a charitable donation, and the team that won the color contest gets to pick the charitable donation for us to make at the end of this calendar year. So Seattle will be the one picking the charity.
Okay, that's very good.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Very classy. Well, my vote didn't win this year, but I will take partial credit for a couple of years back when you did camo. I think I had a very minor role to play in that one, I'd like to think, but purple worked out well this year. We had some good comments on it. The Stelfast Monkey was hanging out at the FCH booth, even though we were right across from the big green machine.
Yeah.
And that Stelfast Monkey is definitely very popular in Vegas, I have to say.
Yeah, I see these people wandering around with this, an arm or a leg hanging out of these bags they carry around with all that stuff.
Well, it's been great to have you with us once again, Simmi, and somehow we managed to do it with no Brady Bunch trivia involved. Good for us, huh? Thanks once again.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
There's just a mention of Doctor Who, okay? That was all.
We'll be right back, everybody, with more Fully Threaded Radio.
Fastener Talk Radio. It's like feng shui for the fastener industry. Brian and Eric. Fully Threaded Radio.
When top quality and outstanding service are at the top of your list in fastener suppliers, turn to Stelfast. Since 1976, Stelfast has grown to become an industry-leading importer and manufacturer of the highest quality industrial fasteners, specialty items, and automotive parts. Our array of facilities across North America and in Asia, along with full quality control labs and ISO 9001-2008 certifications, ensure the highest quality parts, and at Stelfast, they're delivered with undisputed service excellence. We're family-run and dedicated to your success. Our customers have come to depend on the expertise of our staff and the quality of our products. We also offer a wide range of secondary services to meet some of the toughest requirements you might have. Contact Stelfast today through our website at www.stelfast.com and put us to work for you. Stelfast. Service you deserve, people you trust.
First, there was fire, and man said, "Fire, good." Then there was the wheel, and man said, "Wheel, good." With the invention of the wheel came the need for fasteners, and man loudly exclaimed, "Buckeye, good." Buckeye Fasteners, providing quality products since the dawn of man. The preceding message was brought to you by Buckeye Fasteners and the Ohio Nut and Bolt Company, proud Fastener show sponsors of Old Rusty Bolt Beer, official beer of the Traveling Salesman.
Tell them Grog sent you. Ugh.
You will meet over 2,000 fastener professionals from key manufacturing industries when you attend Fastener Fair USA, North America's only show for the entire fastener supply chain, taking place April 11th and 12th, 2018 in Cleveland, Ohio. Fastener Fair USA attracts manufacturers, distributors, suppliers, and end users from North America's fastest growing industries, such as automotive, aerospace, construction, equipment manufacturers, and many more. More than 200 companies from around the world will exhibit at Fastener Fair USA 2018, showcasing the latest in industrial and construction fasteners, assembly and installation systems, manufacturing technology, and much more. Take advantage of the opportunity to grow your business with our high-level education and training taught by industry experts, including the Fastener Training Institute, who will be participating in the inaugural show, offering product and technical training. Connect with customers and peers on the show floor and after hours at our welcome reception on April 11th at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. There is truly something for everyone who's part of the fastener supply chain at Fastener Fair USA. To request information on exhibiting or visiting Fastener Fair USA, go to fastenerfair.com/USA or call show management at 866-899-4728. We'll see you at Fastener Fair USA 2018 in the heart of America's manufacturing region, April 11th and 12th at Huntington Convention Center, Cleveland, Ohio.
Hi, this is Hugh Hewitt for the Injured Marine Semper Fi Fund, www.semperfifund.org. Over the past 7 years, twice a year, the wonderful people who operate the Semper Fi Fund and many amazing Marines who have been the beneficiaries of the charities that have supported the Semper Fi Fund, including many thousands of individual donors, have come into my radio studio to tell their amazing stories of serving their country, of being wounded, and how the Semper Fi Fund has helped them make that transition back to recovery. Unfortunately, Bethesda and Walter Reed are full again. More and more men and women are coming back from the war injured, sometimes awfully so. We need the Semper Fi Fund to be there for these Marines and those soldiers, sailors, and airmen who served alongside of them. Please consider a gift to the Semper Fi Fund. Very low overhead, extraordinary capacity to get money where it needs to get in a hurry, and great management, including some of the senior Marines who've ever served under the flag. When you're looking for something to do that will make an impact, please check out the Semper Fi Fund. That's www.semperfifund.org, www.semperfifund.org.
This is Rick Porter with Mid-Valley Distributors, the largest stocking distributor of fasteners in Central California. If we don't have it, weld it. You're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Hello, Fastener Truth Seekers. Welcome back. Brian and Eric with you to close out another one.
Wow, okay. A truth seeker.
So much of what we see flying around through the headlines these days doesn't really seem like it could be true.
Right. Yeah.
So I think we need more truth seeking than we ever did before.
Yep. The so-called take everything with a grain of salt. Okay.
It's exactly what I do, even in these low sodium days, which are so important around the holidays.
Okay, if you say so.
It was fun hearing about Simmi's dining preferences.
Yeah.
It's one of the things about Fully Threaded, folks. You never know what you're going to find out about who, and we bring it to you each and every episode.
However, the talk about their forecasting tool that they use internally is very much in keeping with our little theme of AI, okay? I mean, anytime you're trying to get a computer to think like a human, that's what you define as artificial intelligence.
Yeah, and I think we probably pushed that one about as far as she was prepared to take it, but if you're a Stelfast customer, rest assured that they're working as hard as they can. None of these models are perfect, but they're at least giving a lot of thought to how should we be guiding things along. That's important.
Right. I mean, for the big importers, they've got to make sure they don't get left with stuff that people suddenly don't want, or they don't have enough of stuff that suddenly everyone does want. So, based on the human frailties of people thinking things, and people are irrational, so it's a problem for everyone. However, there's always Fasteners Clearinghouse when the projecting and the forecasting hasn't quite gone right.
Thank you, Bri. I was wondering when you were going to get around to that.
Very self-serving, okay? Very unusual for us, actually.
Hey, business is business, man. Well, let's just say thanks, Simmi. You're always a great sport. It's always great to have you on the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks also to Matt Boyd with Parker Fasteners. Mike McNulty and Quinn Fredrickson had the FDI numbers for us.
Yep.
And Carmen Vertullo, keeping it short and sweet, but oh so full of info on the Fastener Training Minute today. Thanks to all of you. We'd also like to thank the sponsors of Fully Threaded Radio once again. Our title sponsors are Stelfast, for service you deserve and people you trust, it's Stelfast. And Lindstrom, by any measure. Also sponsoring Fully Threaded Radio, 3Q, Buckeye Fasteners, Fastenal, Fastener Technology International, InSequel Software, Mack Brooks, ND Industries, The Worth Group, Volt Industrial Plastics, and Solution Industries, home of Solution Man. Let us know what you think of the show, folks. You can reach us at the email address ftr@fullythreaded.com or use Twitter. Our handle's Fully Threaded. Speaking of Twitter, Bri, I saw some tweets fly by recently about the recent NFDA Leadership Academy that happened in Chicago back on November 2nd and 3rd. And apparently, among other things, they were addressing topics such as 3D and additive manufacturing, artificial intelligence, and IoT, which is the Internet of Things, all the things wired in, among other things.
Yeah.
I'd like to get a few of the attendees of that event onto the podcast eventually and dig into all of that. Doesn't say anything here about self-driving cars, but...
Well, yeah, true, but it does relate to things like storage and warehouses where the items know where they are and know where they have to go to. So that's one of the modern applications of this. That's the so-called Internet of Things. So packages have their own intelligence through chips or scanning stuff built into them. I went to a talk about that 2 years ago in Chicago.
Yeah, all this stuff that we were hearing about years and years ago is just on the horizon or actually being implemented now, and I guess that was part of what they talked about, which is why I want to have somebody who attended that on the podcast for us.
So if you went to that, just know Eric's asking for a volunteer, okay?
Indeed I am. Well, since we've been winding down the Vegas show on this episode, in addition to talking about all the tech stuff, Mike McNulty finally put the last word on Vegas with the numbers, and we were talking to Matt, who was out there at the show. Thought this little article that I saw fly by kind of rolled both of those into one neat little package we could use to wind this episode down, Bri.
Okay, we'll wind it up.
This is from the FoxNews.com website, and the headline was, Self-Driving Shuttle Crashes in Las Vegas Hours After Launch. Did you see this one?
You would have to be. I mean, what everyone hoped and prayed would happen, okay, it did. And why did it? Because someone stopped in front of it, okay? It wasn't as if the thing drove into a tree. It ran into some thoughtless person who careered in front of it and jammed the brakes on.
Yes, it was a sensational story, and there were many people on both sides, fans and detractors, that were commenting on this whole thing. But needless to say, it was overblown, but it was a hell of a lot of fun. Story began, a driverless shuttle in Las Vegas crashed Wednesday after it was launched only hours earlier. The shuttle crashed just before noon, not far from the Las Vegas Strip, less than 2 hours after officials held an unveiling ceremony to promote the vehicle.
I know. Would have to happen, wouldn't it? Anyone who's got any thoughts of and loves sort of technology, this is the last thing you wanted to happen.
Yeah, but it was so perfect. Story goes on, dozens of people had lined up to board the shuttle, but no one was injured in the accident, which saw the bus collide with a semi-truck.
Yeah, I know, of all things.
Apparently the top speed of this thing is 25 miles an hour. And one of the interesting things is it does have a human attendant who rides on board. So I guess it's not completely driverless. So all the naysayers can relax, Bri.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know how it manages on the strip because I think the traffic goes a little faster than 25 miles an hour between traffic lights there.
Well, lots of things are going to change as these kinds of vehicles become common, which they will, and we'll just have to see. And my guess would be eventually they'll speed up quite a bit as well. This thing is scheduled to start driving in production for real next year, but it remains unclear whether or not that launch is going to be delayed because of this unceremonious collision.
Well, look, there's lots of great minds working on this whole problem. I mean, and people like Elon Musk have developed some pretty fancy technology that's built into the Tesla cars. Daimler-Benz are working on it. They've got trucks, and Musk has announced, was it this last week, a brand new truck, and that'll be self-driving as well as having people in it.
Yeah, well, eventually one day you're going to be in one of these things and you're going to look at the driver and it's going to turn out to be Sophia. Mark my words, my friend.
Okay.
And with that, we're going to bring another episode of Fully Threaded Radio colliding to its conclusion. Previously scheduled, however, Bri.
Well, I hope Sophia looks sort of like a person, actually, okay, rather than just a bunch of bolts and metal plates and things.
Maybe we'll find out on another episode, but it won't be this one.
Okay.
For Brian Musker, this is Eric Dudas. Get out there, sell some screws, keep your intelligence organic, and we'll talk to you next time.
And watch for self-driving cars, okay? Or watch out for them.
Fully Threaded Radio is a production of Fastener's Clearinghouse. Music provided by Audionautics.